Before we get rolling with today's episode, I want to take a second to tell you about Sharp Training. Snyder Health Recovery and Performance Training is an online training platform to help washed up athletes look, feel, and move better. We offer several different group options catered to your needs, interests, and goals, with new programs delivered each month through the TeamBuilder app. Features include video demonstrations, 24/7 messaging and feedback, and access to the Sharp Edge, a comprehensive guide to upgrade your diet, sleep, and life. Use the code PODCAST in all caps to get 50% off your first month when checking out a program. Iron sharpens iron, so let us help you become your sharpest self. Now let's go. And we're back.
We're back. Little hiatus caught up. Things have happened. Colin's got a little thing going on, a little workout at the spot.
Yeah, we got my own little training place going, little personal gym,
How did
garage
that go?
gym. So it's been a lot to get it together. I spent like a month just like looking through Facebook Marketplace and online, trying to get like the price, an appropriate price for everything, and like Reddits for like advice for what people have and stuff. So it's been fun. Yeah, I just had the first workout in there today. So exciting, man. I've always wanted my own space to get some of my own equipment and be a weirdo by myself.
Did you not take the airplane for a little stroll?
Maybe someday. I may have to do some research on YouTube on how to do that, but you can basically learn anything. I mean, YouTube and ChatGPT, I feel like that combo, I feel like someday, we might just send it.
They say the flight simulations are pretty much the same thing, so
we'll see.
Might as well just go for it. Workout was good though. Did the speaker work?
Good. It was good. It'll take some getting used to, like, space and different equipment, but it's good. It's good. It's exciting.
What's in your sights for like next step?
I got a manual treadmill, super good deal on it, but
it's one of those you got to make go.
Yeah. I mean, like Woodway is a popular brand, and that's what a lot of like performance facilities will have. And I found kind of a knockoff version, but it does what I want to. I feel like a lot of treadmills have like a 12-mile-per-hour limit, and I'm not the fastest guy, but that just those winter months when I want to do more like sprints and stuff, that's gonna more of a manual one will allow me to do that. And like you can still adjust the resistance, so like you can kind of like hold on to it and make it more of like a sled by increasing the resistance. So I'm excited to mess around with that. And it has like the curve too, if you've seen that. So I'm interested.
12 mile per hour, that's like your walking speed, dude.
It's crazy. I mean,
you run it's like half of what you can sprint at.
Yeah, I was looking at
you've been timed at like what, 31, 32? Michael Scott?
The mile per hour. 31 is my new number.
Dude, so I'm playing golf on Monday at the Jensens, I think, unless they kick me out. They're pretty harsh in the chat about I better live up to their quality or whatever. They won it last year and all these things. But I told them that I would practice all weekend, and I sent the Andy clip from The Office where when he's got his hands or whatever. It really hurts.
That's a great
How many balls did he say he hit? Like
I don't know if he's dead. He was on the range for like 6 hours or something.
Just like I'll practice all weekend. And then I also sent the clip of Wayne's World, we are now worthy. We're worthy.
I need to watch that again.
Wayne's World, party time. Excellent.
I just remember the hockey in the street.
Game on.
Car. Game on.
Game on.
That's something you two have always been really good at, is like reciting phrases from shows. And
not me, really, though. Like, I'm actually not. But there's just a few movies, like certain specific movies. Wayne's World's definitely one of those. Party on Garth, Party on Wayne. That movie's outstanding.
My brain's definitely wired for that. I definitely have memory loss.
Yeah, you and Ben Kingery too.
Shout
Ben's
out.
Very good at that.
We got Jaden rocking a heck of a stash. Absolutely
Dirty.
Beautiful.
Playoff baseball.
Yeah, something like that.
I don't watch baseball, but you can say that. Yeah.
For the cause. I love it.
No, sometimes you just get in a mustache mood and you just gotta rock it.
Yeah.
Just a little stint.
Brandon, you ever go through mustache phases?
I haven't. No, being married now, it's kind of hard to get that approved. So,
Yeah.
but no, I don't really grow a great mustache. So,
Yeah, I mean, it just went back to Northwestern baseball. Shout out those guys. Just initiated my mustache growing, and I've just kind of stuck with it. Had the muzzy for the national championship. It was a good luck charm. So,
yep.
Still bring it back.
Have you, Colin, ever mustache phase?
I mean,
I feel like I've
I was
never
telling
really.
Jaden, I've done it for like playoffs, and like I've dyed it before, but I've never kept it for a long phase. I usually accompany it with something, but
Yeah.
maybe I'll just get bored and try it out one of these times.
And get the muzzle loader going.
Yeah, something. Got to switch it up every once in a while.
You do.
But, well, we're back, and again, long hiatus. No guests today, just the guys. So we'll see what we can muster. I guess kicking things off, you guys recently completed your Holy 40, so I'd be super interested to hear about that whole experience. Maybe Jaden putting that together and then also going through it.
Yeah.
But Brandon as well, what that experience was like.
Yeah. Jaden, go ahead, dude.
Yeah, I mean, it was really cool. Got to see everybody's likes, dislikes, what they were struggling with. It was just really cool to see the commitment to something that I kind of just drew up and thought would be beneficial, and they all invested their dedication and time and effort to try and better themselves. So I thought it was really cool. Something I definitely want to try again and continue just to modify, get feedback, and just trying to impact people in a positive light. Yeah, I mean, did it myself for a little bit there. Didn't really track anything, but I want to practice what I preach. So I don't know why I would tell someone to do something if I didn't want to do it myself. So just foundational things that I feel like some are definitely harder than others, right? 7 ingredients is pretty restrictive. Not something that I expect you to do all the time, but something that I find to be beneficial. And I can say the same about a lot of them. But yeah, Brandon, what did you experience? What'd you like? What'd you dislike?
Yeah.
I'm curious.
I would say it's hard. The hardest thing for me was just like how much, like, I don't remember the last page sit next to me, like weekend where I didn't put something into a suitcase. Like, it's just kind of the way that we live. We just, I don't know.
Been there.
We just got married, and, you know, while we have this time, we kind of try to do as many things as possible. Like, we just got tickets to the Georgia and Tennessee game from somebody we met on our honeymoon. So that's like November 16th, got our flights for that. And just like random stuff like that. Like, we went to Galena the other day and then ended up going to a Hawkeye game. So just trying to, I don't know, use this time to do fun things and not go broke at the same time. So it's probably the hardest thing for me was just like, whether it's, you know, being somewhere else and not cooking for yourself or someone else is cooking for you, like as far as the ingredients and stuff. But I feel like we've actually really gotten into making a lot of our own food. So I would say from when we actually did cook ourselves, it was pretty, I don't know, not easy, but good. It was like on our minds just to keep it pretty simple as far as ingredients and stuff like that. And we've kind of been eating pretty healthy. So that was, from the diet standpoint, I think that was not overly difficult. It was more so just the travel piece of things. And I think that kind of got into like the workouts and stuff too. I don't know, when I go somewhere else or travel, I don't tend to like work out as much as I should. I guess I'm not totally there. I feel like as I continue to run more, I feel like I would go run for 2 miles or whatever, 2.5 miles. But I don't know, usually when I go do something somewhere else, I tend to just kind of, I don't know, spend the time just hanging out with people and sleeping in or whatever. So I don't know, it wasn't perfect in that realm, but I would say overall as like habits wise, I would say I definitely have gotten, like, I've run since the challenge has been over. I'll continue to run, which is kind of probably one of the coolest things for me, just finding something that I can do exercise wise. Like, I've, you know, been open about struggling with that since basically being done with football or whatever, and just kind of not having joy in that. But I don't know, I've been pretty consistently running 2.5, 3 miles. So that's been awesome. My Achilles have still been not like It's fine when I run, but sometimes when I wake up and I can kind of feel it just like, I don't know if it's scar tissue that's kind of developing on there. I know Jaden sent me a list of questions that I've got to answer, but working through that a little bit. But I think even like working out alongside running, like knowing that I've been doing that has given me somewhat more of like a clear goal, or like made it more energizing. I think like I'm actually striving towards something. I'm thinking about how I want to feel when I run. Like that alone has made me, I don't know, enjoy it more. I think have more of a clear focus. And so I don't know, that's been really good. I loved like all of the just other little things too, like just some of the texts people I've just like, it wasn't even because it became like it wasn't even part of the challenge as much anymore. It was just like random people I would think of, I would just text, you know what I mean? And try to, I don't know. It's like it kind of got in the way of, or it kind of broke down that wall of just like just reaching out to somebody that I worked with in Omaha the other day or whatever it is. Like that stuff's really cool. So I think those are things that I'll continue just to randomly, I think, do just because of the challenge. So no, I would definitely highly recommend it to anyone.
Yeah, I mean, I was really looking for something that's practical, not looking for perfection. Like obviously we have to live a life. We can't, like, there's challenges like 75 hard that like if you miss a day, you have to start back at day one.
Yeah.
It's like that's not really what I'm looking for in a challenge like this. Like I want to have like some sort of competition so you have something to strive for, but not necessarily like comparing yourself
Yeah.
to another person that maybe isn't traveling like you, or maybe isn't, just doesn't have like the lifestyle factors that you have. So something that's practical, something that you can instill in your own and take away what you want.
I think one of the,
But yeah,
I think one of the best things you did was like the tiered scoring. Like, I don't know if when you put that in, it was really early or if it was right away, like the 7, 10, 12, like that was huge because it made it like the guilt piece of a challenge. You know, I think that can come with like not getting a certain amount, or like you said, 75 hard, you have one bad day or whatever. Like I never really felt that. You know what I mean? Like obviously there was as a competitor, like you want to try to do well, and it was fun when you did get like all 12 or 10 out of 12 and was able to get that like a lot of the time. But if it was a weekend, like I knew there was 7 things that I could do, you know, or at least try to do or make up for in certain areas. And it was like not one of those things where I feel bad if I don't, but like I know I could do that. You know what I mean? And so like I'm part of the challenge. Like I started this thing, I'm gonna get 7, you know, or whatever. And even if I didn't, like I would be fine. But you know what I mean? Like all those things are just positive things to add to your day. So I thought that was really smart and definitely helped from just on, I don't know, from my experience, just like the scoring of it or however you just, I don't know, the tallying of it and the competing against yourself and reporting of it. So I thought that was great.
I feel like,
and then kind of to touch on your, oh, Colin, you got it.
yeah, I just feel like with the weekend thing, like I feel like weekends are a time where a lot of people, whether you have like health goals or not, I feel like that's a time to kind of throw everything out the window and just take the L. But like if you can minimize or still, because obviously like, yeah, you're going out places and there's things to do and, you know, you might be sleeping less. It's not always going to be perfect, but that doesn't mean that all your habits that you've kind of built up, that you've instilled throughout the week, it doesn't have to just go out the window. It can still be minimizing, still, you know, doing what you can with the circumstances you're given. So I think that's a powerful point within the challenge and even outside of that, just to take away. But yeah, go ahead, Jade.
Yeah, I was just going to touch on your running comment too. I think the initial phase of running is a suck. Like there's no way around it. It's not going to be easy in any form. Like you get tired right away.
Yeah.
Like you don't really have an aerobic base. Like you just have to suffer through it and your body's going to hurt. But once you get past that initial hump and like you have a foundation, your heart rate's not spiking, like your muscles have built up the ability to endure. It's just so like peaceful and you have so much solitude in running. And yeah, I just think there's definitely a hump initially, but you really just have to stay with it, not do too much too soon, and just be consistent with it because it's super beneficial in the long run, I think. So just to comment on that.
Yeah, I always felt better too. Like I don't know, my thoughts were more clear, my conversations were more clear on days that I did, even if like I had workouts at night. Like if I did run that morning, if it was a day for me to run or whatever, I had the courage to do it. Like I always felt like I even felt like more confident at making decisions, even at work and stuff. It just gives you like, I don't know, like I did that this morning. Like I'm on my routine. Like I have confidence to make these decisions or have these conversations because I'm like doing the work. You know what I mean? Outside versus like sleeping in or whatever. It's like, well, maybe I should have done that. And sometimes even like that thought process can lead to not as clear decisions or not as confident decisions. So I don't know. I found like even more benefit at work. I found more clarity like in conversations like before our workouts and stuff and practices. Like you're always, and even in practices, like you're giving messages, you're trying to find words to like inspire or kids to move on or to work hard or to find energy or whatever it is. And like if you're doing those things, if your house is in order, it's a lot easier to find the words to do that. Well, and honestly, like too, like those are things you're thinking about while you're running too, you know? So whether you're listening to music or a podcast, like sometimes even that time doing that, like might give you a message that you want to give that day. And I found like if I didn't do that, then it was sometimes harder to find that message or the things that you're trying to say to them. So I don't know. It just is beneficial for many reasons and obviously the health side of things, but even, you know.
Yeah, I mean, 90+% of my runs, I don't have headphones. I don't bring my phone. Like it's just me and my thoughts out there. So
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of like uniqueness to being in that frame of mind, just you and your own thoughts. And I think it's cool. I mean, I think Cole kind of touched on that too. I think he mentioned that he feels like a different human when he works out in the morning compared to when he doesn't. So I think there's definitely something to starting your day right, or even if it's the night before, just keeping in that routine. Yeah, I think it's really good.
I think there's something to be said about that too. Like everyone always talks about the feeling you get like after and the rest of the day, but like I'm the same way. Like during workouts, I feel like that's the time where I can think most clearly, or get the best ideas, and maybe that's why it takes so long sometimes. But there's times where like my mind starts going, whether it's related to this or business or faith or whatever it is. There's times where just get sidetracked, and it's cool to have that time away from technology or even other people at times, and to just lock into what you're doing. And your mind can go to some cool places during that time. So I think
what like as someone who kind of started later in like the warmer season, like moving towards the winter, like what's advice you would give to me, I guess, but also to other people that maybe really enjoy running or being outside working out? And now it's like sadly approaching colder times, which not cool, but like how do you find the same feelings, or you know what I mean? I mean, sometimes you tough it out when you can, or I don't know. What advice do you have there, do you think, or thoughts or anything?
Yeah, I mean, maximize the outdoors as long as you can. I think once you get indoors, it's pretty monotonous. That's definitely times where I might rely on a show or music or something just to not stare at a wall for however long I'm running. But also, it's a chance to maybe explore different cardio options, whether that's like a bike or a rower or stair, like elliptical, like just explore different options, because I feel like I get a little bit bored. I'm one of those people that can't do the treadmill all that long. So I've definitely mixed it up, like gone Stairmaster to bike to treadmill, just do 10, 10, 10 or something like that. I think it's good to keep it fun. It should never feel like too monotonous. Something you can consistently do. You're in it for the long run, even if it is 15 or 20 minutes, four or five times a week. I think that's better than doing it once a week for an hour and boring yourself to death. So whatever you can stick to, honestly, is the biggest thing.
I think we've talked about it too. Like if it is a case for that, where it's something more boring or monotonous, like find something that you can look forward to through music. Like, I've talked about listening to new music, or Peyton's talked about listening to worship music in the mornings, or favorite podcasts or audio books, or whatever it is to make it a little less monotonous. I don't know. Brandon, have you ran on treadmills at all? Like
I haven't.
recently?
I
Just curious.
like never in general. I would like never run on a treadmill. So, just thinking
there's
forward to
pros
that.
and cons. When I initially started out, I preferred treadmill over outside just because I could control my heart rate a lot better. I could control like stride length, cadence. Like I could control everything better, especially pace too,
Yeah.
because like you have to run at that pace. So I liked that side of it, but once I started running outdoors, and I was like, oh, this is definitely not as boring. So there's pros and cons, but yeah, whether it's a Netflix show or something just to keep you entertained, find that little thing that gets you wanting to do it.
Are there things that you guys try to eat more of, or supplements that you guys do as it gets colder, or you see the sun less, or is that not something you guys really mix in? Or I'm just curious.
Vitamin D is a big
Yeah.
one.
Vitamin D is
Huge.
the biggest one.
Yeah. It's just so hard to get. I mean, 10 minutes of sun is what they say for the outdoors, but we're getting to a time where even, around this time, if the sun is out, like it just doesn't have the same effect. So I'd say within, towards the end of the month, probably throw that in your supplement routine if you haven't already. I don't know. I can't think of much other than that. No, that's the big one.
Mm-hmm.
It does, though, like going back to like maximizing time outside, like it does make you appreciate like the summers more. Like I haven't had that the last few years, but like when March rolls around and starts heating up a little bit, whereas like right now, like this kind of feels cold when that comes around after a long winter. It feels so good, like that first warm sunshine. So winter sucks, but makes you appreciate the summers a little bit more. So seasons of life, that's how it goes.
And it can even be like find yourself a pickleball league or something that just gamifies it more than it doesn't have to be a cardio machine that gets your heart rate elevated. Like
I'm gonna give all my
just do something that's
buckets.
fun and inside. Yeah,
absolutely.
Play basketball, do whatever.
Yeah, I'm about to give them buckets.
Something you can do a couple times a week. Stay on top of it.
Yeah. Get a golf simulator. You can hit inside. But
do some of those Bryson DeChambeau distance sessions.
Yeah, just grip it and rip it.
Ranking.
Back to the Holy 40 thing. How do you feel like is 40 days a good time for that? Like, is that too much or too little in terms of time frame, do you think?
For me,
I guess either one of you.
I thought it was perfect, honestly, because I was waiting for like the 30-day one, or I think Jaden.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden it was over. So I thought we had like 10 more days or whatever. So I don't think that it was like too long or too short, to be honest. Like I think the number is like perfect. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't know, just over a month. Gives you plenty of time to, I don't know, make habits of things, and it's not overwhelming. So I think it's like a perfect amount. I think that worked out great.
And I think it's a good mix. Like I dabbled in the 75 hard, and I felt like that was long. I feel like you're giving up maybe a little bit too much, especially with like the restriction that it gave.
Yeah.
But then like a month, I feel like isn't long enough to really develop strength or develop many habits that you stick to. So I'd like those 2 extra weeks just to really solidify things. I mean, they say it takes like 6 weeks to truly like grow strength and like make actual differences outside of just neuromuscular stuff. So
yeah,
I really like the 40 days. I'd definitely probably keep it going forward.
Yeah, because I want to do something like that. But like my next challenge, like I've done the 10 pounds in 10 weeks, but they can be kind of long. And I like how you incorporated like the spiritual aspect and like the competition and competing with yourself with the other metrics. So yeah, I'm just curious, what the time frame is. Like, is it enough to make that a consistent habit? Because like they say, like the 10,000 reps of something before you get good at it. But is it also, some of that was pretty strict, like with 7 ingredients. So like, is that too long? That's hard to maintain. Like I know, like when I saw Peyton for a few days, like it was over the weekend and there was processed food around. It's like that can get hard after a while. Like you can eat so well, but like if you slip up on one meal, you don't get the points for the day. So Yeah, super interesting.
And I think having the mini 10-day challenge inside of it, I think helped, just because if you have like a stint of 10 days where you were packed, whether you were on a couple trips during that or whatever it may be, like you don't have to be super perfect in those 10 days. But I just felt like if 40 days was too long for you, that the little 10-day segments would help you like stay involved and be like, okay, here's a fresh start.
Mm-hmm.
If
For
I didn't have a
sure.
great last 10 days, like here's a new go at it. And then it's also a way just to like track progress. Like, oh, I got this the last 10 days. I'm going to try to beat that. It's
I
just
think
like, I like
that's
the mini challenge in that challenge.
I think
It's
that's
good.
totally accurate. I think it was okay. That's what I'm actually at because I didn't know myself. And then two, it was I think after every 10-day, I think the next like 3 days I would always do like better. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which it's kind of human nature to not do as good after a certain amount of time, which is obviously the goal to not get rid of that. But like I felt like after the 10 days, I would always get like 12, 12, 10, 10. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I was always
Yep.
doing better after you know what I mean? Just because it's like rejuvenating to, okay, like I want to do better than I did the last time. So I'm gonna, you know what I mean? And like
Yep.
I said, it's all positive things. It's not like a real challenge. There's no like actual consequences to not getting it. You know what I mean? Like other than
Yeah.
other than disappointing Jaden, which I didn't want to do, but
Oh.
but like, you know, there's really isn't, you know, and I'm not like I take it seriously, but it's not that serious, you know. So it's like, okay, yes, like that was awesome, good 3 or 4 days, right? Then a weekend would come up, but like I don't know. I was grateful for that little stint that I did better on. You know what I mean? So I think that was awesome way to break it up. So it was always, like I said, fun to see the actual number that you're getting. And then I said, always gave you a little spark to do a little bit more the next couple of days. So get back on track or, you know what I mean? Realize the areas you weren't, you know, getting the points in or, you know, it's like one of the hardest things for me was like reading. It just, I don't know. Once football started, I
That's
tend
tough.
to spend once football started, I got into my reading time. It just is what it is. But
Yeah.
I don't know. I love football so much. So I'm probably too obsessed with fantasy and everything the NFL has to offer. So not really college so
Hey,
much, but the NFL is
It's a
I'm a
good
fiend.
product, man.
the
I'm
boys have been doing pretty dang good in
uh,
fantasy, so it's been paying off.
Colin and I play this week.
Yeah.
Yeah, Colin had a good
He
Thursday.
did.
Yeah.
I
But
had
you
to
had
make a
Mike
trade to
Evans,
give me.
though.
Yeah, I did. I was glad that it was Mike and not Chris.
Yeah.
That helped me out.
Chris held his own.
Laser Mayfield.
How about that? What a comeback. I've always liked him, too. And
Yeah. Dog
kind of looked
pile.
like for a while he wasn't the guy. And then, I mean, if that crazy how, like, if that Rams game didn't happen where he came in and started after being there for like 3 days, like, who know where he'd be, but just
That was
crazy.
a crazy story. Dude shows up
Oh
on
my
Tuesday
gosh.
or whatever, Wednesday, and practices for
Plays
Yeah.
3 days and goes
the
bonkers
hardest position in the world.
and sand.
98-yard drive to win. Crazy.
Baller. Laser Mayfield.
Laser Mayfield. So funny.
Mm.
How's school, Jaden?
It's going well. Getting into the thick of it. We're in the test phase. Had I think just one this week. Have two next week, one the next week, and then three the next week. So we're starting to ramp up, learning a lot. We're doing like upper extremity musculoskeletal, so shoulder, elbow, a lot of that. Have a class with the head of the program, so learning a lot under him. He's done a lot of research, is very well respected, very smart guy. So we've been learning a lot from him. It's been a lot of interesting subjects like epigenetics, nutrition, muscle, a lot regarding muscle. So it's been really interesting, but it's opened my eyes to things I've never thought about, pathways I never knew about, but it's been good.
Body's crazy, man.
It is crazy.
What's his like niche for research and stuff, or is it kind of
He has kind of focused on epigenetics. He does a lot of genetic testing with that, which is kind of like, so theoretically you exercise a lot or you eat well, and this can either like methylate or demethylate genes. So whether it's just turning on or turning off genes based on good habits or bad habits. So like, say I work out and I have a gene for muscle building, like working out can turn that gene on. And then say I didn't train for a while. Since I turned that gene on, it'll probably stay on. And then if I trained later, I'll be more likely to build that muscle back faster than if I didn't train before. So it's like, it's a lot of changing your genetics based on what you have done previously, which is kind of a novel concept because people think like your genetics are your genetics and you can't really change them. So like you just pass down, but you can like positively or negatively affect your genetics based on good habits. And I think it's really cool to just like know more about that and understand that from him, because it's still a relatively new space. They do a lot of like looking at genetic codes, and it's like a really expensive thing right now, but he's pretty knowledgeable and thinks it'll get like more mainstream as we go. So
like the everyday person will have more access to what their actual
I think so.
genetic code is.
I don't know how far down the road. Yeah. Like
I'd love that. I think that would be fascinating. You know what I mean?
I want to do that.
Here's what you're not using. Like, I don't know. That's all that
it's
stuff
really
would really inspire me to like, I think, continue to live healthier or whatever. And I don't know.
It's super cool because we have like a couple readings before every class, and they're like 10 to 20 page research papers, but they're like done by him. Like he did the research. And so that we're like reading his research on the topics, and it's pretty crazy.
Sick.
But
yeah,
it's cool.
I've looked into some stuff with like gene testing for like, like what supplements you should or shouldn't be using based on, because like you can have, I don't know if allergies is the right word, but like different people have different reactions to food, and a lot of that's based on, your genetics. And yeah, it'd be cool to know like, okay, what foods do I need to eat more of? What maybe do I think is healthy that I'm eating that maybe is having a detrimental effect? Or it could be like a combination of foods or supplements that have a negative effect. So yeah, I think that's, for someone who is interested in health and like, like me, I feel like I have some good habits in place. It's kind of looking how to take the next step and how to continually progress. And I think getting to the nitty gritty for stuff like that, for some people, maybe, they want to get into that, but, they're not doing the everyday stuff that they need to take care of first. So I think it starts with hitting the big rocks and taking care of, sleep and diet and exercise. But then, it's for, the former athlete, like how do you take that next step? How do you continually improve? And I think there's a lot with that, and like blood work, and, like you said, there's a lot you can influence. I feel like a lot of people will blame stuff on their genes and, like have like a victim mindset with that. And obviously, there's some stuff that you can't control, but there's always a lot that you can control. And like you said, that's cool how you can actually shift your genes. And yeah, that's sick. What else you been learning?
A little bit more, just more on that. Like I would say it's never too late. Like even if you don't have a training history, like you have the ability to change your genetics like right now based on exercise, sleep, nutrition. I mean, that's why they say exercise is medicine, because like the profound impact that it can have on you now, and the impact that just consistency over time has on your future health is really impactful, I think. So even like someone like you, Brandon, like you exercised a ton in college and then took a break. Like just because you exercised a ton in college, you're set up for so much success just because you have that background and foundation. Like that doesn't just go away. So I think it's just really powerful to know what you're doing on a daily basis is making an impact in the long run. And even if it doesn't feel like it's necessarily making a change, it's just like those consistent efforts over time that is working in you.
I once heard that like basically and I have no idea who said this or if it's true or not, but some of what we're talking about maybe make more sense. Like and I don't think it's like all encompassing, or like you said, a dead end if it's not the case. But I think what I heard was like the body that you have at 18 is like more likely what your body wants to be as you go on in the future, if that makes sense. Like, I don't know if that's like the end of adolescence or whatever. Like, I don't know if that's even necessarily true, but I feel like maybe that's not the exact cutoff or the point even. It's more so like your habits as you're younger or whatever, like probably allow you to get back to that state easier, whether it's a healthy state or not as healthy state. You know what I mean? So like if you're more inclined to be able to make muscle well because you trained really hard when you're 18 or 20, like I feel like it's probably easier for you to turn those genes back on and systems and pathways or whatever back on once you pick that up at a later time. Maybe that's true or not. I don't know.
I mean, just like kind of touching on that, just where society has like gone with the obesity epidemic and stuff like that. Like we touched a little bit on this before the show, just the prevalence of like weight loss drugs and stuff like that. You see that in a younger and younger population these days. And I feel like it's kind of a quick fix, but we have seen that exercise and nutrition can have an impact very similar to these drugs. They can activate the same peptides, things like fiber, things like polyphenols that are in fruit. These things can allow your body to produce drugs that are given these days for thousands and thousands of dollars in your own body. So I think it's just really powerful to learn that what we do, whether that's exercise, whether that's diet, whether that's sleep, that we are impacting our body in a positive light, and we don't need necessarily a quick fix, because in the long run, you're not going to be able to probably take that drug for life, and what you lose or what you depend on will come back and haunt you later on. So I think you're seeing these people come off of drugs like Ozempic with a lot of muscle loss because they were on a bad diet. They ate less of a bad diet. They lost all their muscle. They lost fat with it, but they lost a lot of muscle. And then they come off Ozempic and they have no muscle and they gain the fat back. And it's like, what are we doing? So it's a cycle. There's definitely a need for it, right? Like helpful in the diabetic population, helpful for people that really do need to lose weight. Like you're probably better off losing the weight than just keeping it on and not taking it. But I just feel like there's better solutions that you can do with exercise, with diet, with sleep that will impact your life for the better in the long run. So learn a lot about muscle pathways, how you shouldn't always have your insulin skyrocketed, which is kind of obvious. But
What do you mean by that?
so these days we love sugar, we love processed food. You spike your glucose, this spikes your insulin, especially if you're not moving after a meal, if you're not eating protein or fat with a meal, if you're just eating straight carbs and you're just sitting on a couch after, like your insulin spikes, and then this insulin spike leads to chronic inflammation, leads to insulin resistance, and then that's basically diabetes.
That was one that I struggled with habitually, was moving after meal. Is that why you put that in there? And is that something that you recommend people do more? Like, I don't necessarily do that really ever.
Yeah.
Like move after I eat. Like that's not usually I eat
It's time
and then
to
I sit for a little bit
and take a nap.
and once I get up, I usually just like do the dishes. You know what I mean? Like I don't tend to like, I just ate, now I'm going to go move. Although I think that would probably make me feel better. I feel like that would probably help the digestion process and seems like other things, but I don't know if you want to speak to that. I feel like that's really good advice that I didn't apply very well in the challenge.
Yeah. I mean, it's postprandial exercise is what they term it. There's a lot of studies on it.
Post what?
Postprandial. So after eating, it's just what they term it. There's a lot of studies that have been done on it. Reduces the insulin spike because when you exercise, and I would say just like walking, you don't want to do like high intensity exercise right after you
I was
eat.
going to say,
Obviously, because
I ate some nachos one
Yeah.
day and ran like 2 hours later, and it was miserable. Never
so
do that. Such a bad idea.
So that is not what you want to do. So this is basically just like a post-meal walk. I'm talking like post-meal walk. They've found
I checked Pedro, see was that work.
it's part of the challenge, but I think
1.2 miles. You want to throw it out?
So they've seen like the sooner after a meal the better, just like a walk, because when you do move, your muscles are better able to uptake that glycogen that or glucose that you're eating. So your insulin doesn't have to spike as high to store that glucose. So your muscles are absorbing it instead of like insulin being secreted and storing that. So it reduces the insulin spike, which reduces inflammation, which reduces your like total lipid levels, and it's just a chain effect. So they've seen a lot of benefit from just like a walk after a meal, whether that's 10 minutes or 15 minutes. I think the closer the better, but eating like protein and fats with your meal also is beneficial in lowering the glucose spike, which lowers the insulin spike. We're not as worried about the glucose spike. It's the insulin spike that we are worried about. And you see there's studies like showing like somebody that's trained versus somebody that's not. Like you give them the same glucose drink, the person that's not trained is going to have a higher insulin spike, even though their glucose spike is going to be the same. So it's really just moving after a meal to let your muscles absorb the glucose better. That's what exercise in general does that is beneficial for insulin spikes.
Maybe dig into this a little more because I think this is important and I don't really understand insulin very well. What's the negative? And I could just ask Paige, but I'm sure other people maybe are curious too. Like, what's the negative impact to insulin spiking? Like, why is that bad?
So,
what does that cause? I guess you might have answered it. But
yeah. So say we eat a meal with a good amount of carbohydrates. So that's like sugar, starch, whatever. You eat that, it's digesting in your stomach. In response to that meal, your body's going to secrete insulin out of your pancreas. So this is going to get that glucose to want to be stored. And you can store this glucose in your muscle and your liver, or you can store it as fat. So about 100 grams will store in your liver, about 350 grams will store in your muscle, and then whatever's left is going to be stored as fat. So if we can knock that insulin secretion down, less of that glucose is going to be stored as fat, and more of it's going to be stored like in our liver, in our muscle, or it's going to be like utilized by our brain in our blood. So what diabetes is you're chronically secreting that insulin, but your body's not responding to it. So you're not utilizing that glucose, and it's just continually being stored as fat. So you're just continually storing this glucose as fat, and you're not using it. So that's why they call it insulin resistant. So like your body just eventually becomes resistant to that insulin, and you're just going to keep storing carbs as fat, and it's just not good.
Instead of your muscles or
that's why, yeah. And that's type 2 diabetes. Type 1, you don't even produce insulin, so you have to inject insulin.
Yeah, that's more of a youth.
That's more of like the genetic one.
Yeah.
Type 2, it used to be called adult onset, but now you're seeing it in kids. So
that's interesting. That's fascinating.
Just like, yeah, it's getting worse and worse because we're getting more and more processed and just eating junk. So
can people that have
cycle
have like fat used to like afford to like fast, like, you know what I mean, like, or have bouts of fasting because they have enough energy stored up, or is that negative advice? Like, I'm just curious.
I do fast every so often, but I think it's hard for me to prescribe it to people. Like, I don't want to tell people to fast unless like I can monitor them, because it's hard for me to trust that they're going to do everything right and listen to their body and not like have, because if they are in like a state of hyperglycemia or hypoglycemia, like if you get hypoglycemic, there's a chance you can like pass out. Like,
Yeah.
have you ever seen Paul Blart Mall
Yeah.
Cop?
Yeah.
Like he's got diabetes, and if his blood sugar gets low, like he's legit gonna pass out because his blood sugar's too low.
Because you've
So
been so reliant on it for so long, probably.
yeah, because his blood sugar's high all the time. So when it gets low, it's not good, because like our brain uses that as fuel. Like we're using glucose
Yeah.
as fuel. So
And eventually you need to
if we run out of
train
fuel,
it to use a different source. Like if eventually you want to change the source of energy like that it uses,
I wouldn't
or not,
say so.
not really. Like, cause that's like the whole like keto
Yeah.
thing, which I guess that's my question. I don't know. Like, I know that was a fad for a long time, but I'm sure people have tried it, and I don't know. It's still probably a thing around. I don't know.
I think it's easier just to eat the right amount of carbohydrates, and like your brain wants to use carbs. It likes ketones too, but I don't know. I would rather just eat the right amount of carbs. And
I think it's more so just like prioritizing before and after working out, and then try to limit it the rest of the day. Like I think that's a simple but
like using
practical
it
way
for
to think about it.
Yeah. Using
Like
it for the workout,
yeah.
using it to recover for the workout, and then you're pretty much have what you need.
Yeah,
like the rest of the day.
like,
You're not actually going to spend that much energy type of a thing, or like physically, really, other than like your brain and some recovery stuff. But
that's probably the biggest thing I've learned from his class is he's so like every answer is like in moderation. Like you obviously don't want to have your insulin chronically spiked. You obviously like even like muscle hypertrophy pathways, like you don't want to have that chronically spiked, because like there's a reason that we aren't building muscle all the time. Like we need to like allow our body to get rid of bad protein and get rid of bad cells, and like go through autophagy and just like clean out our system. So like we shouldn't be growing muscle all the time. We shouldn't be releasing insulin all the time. Like do things in moderation, like work out,
but the gains,
eat protein and carbs after, and then don't eat until a couple hours later. Like don't be chronically stimulating your body to digest all the time, because it's a vicious cycle. So yeah, I mean, if I had to recommend, I would eat a good breakfast, high in protein, go for a sunrise walk after, let it digest well, eat a decent lunch, also with protein, go for a walk after, and then I like to work out in the afternoon. So I would work out and then eat supper after, just because our bodies are like least efficient at digesting carbohydrates in the evening. Like we're better in the morning. So after a workout, we're better at utilizing it, because like I said earlier, if you work out, your body's better at uptaking that glucose into our muscles. So it's just a way of like allowing your body to digest carbs better in the evening. So I would work out in the afternoon and then have supper after, a couple hours before bed, and then you're good.
Repeat.
Like put it on the repeat. Have foods that you love to eat, can eat all the time, don't get sick of, or just mix it up, have a couple. You're good, man. That's all it takes.
Easy game.
Have a snack every once in a while, eat a pizza every once in a while.
Don't eat the nachos and run.
Yeah.
Don't do it.
I'm just picturing like eat a bunch of nachos and then instantly like 100 burpees. Like, oh, I got to burn this up. Don't do it that way.
Don't do it.
No.
Anything you're kind of diving into, Colin, learning that how's your job, and anything that you're kind of continuing education right now, or just kind of focused on getting your facility set up and acquiring to a new job and lifestyle or whatever?
Yeah, it's been nice to like shut my brain off from like the continuing ed side of learning like strength conditioning principles.
It's probably nice.
It is nice. Like, and like really at the end of the day, it's a pretty simple game. Like obviously like there's some stuff you can do to separate yourself like at the highest of high levels, but I think a lot of times, like especially like with the platform we use, like I see like, some programs that coaches are doing, and I think a lot of coaches will just overcomplicate stuff or get lost in numbers and not know what to do with it. And I think easier is better, and it's more so about the relationship side and buy-in. And so
Yeah.
it's been nice to be away from that, and I feel like I made the right decision with what I'm doing. I feel like what I'm doing now suits me more, but it's been good. Just had our company retreat not too long ago out in
Yeah, how was
Virginia,
that?
so it was sick. Really cool area. It's where they
Tell them
shot.
about the award you got.
Oh, got the Cool as a Cucumber award. Steady, steady
Steady
hand,
Eddie. Steady
always
Eddie.
steady. So yeah, that was fun. Fully remote company, so fun to meet everyone in person. Really cool area. It's where they shot Dirty Dancing. Never seen it,
Nice.
but cool area up in the
Fun
mountains.
fact.
I'm
Up in the
not gonna
mountains.
roast you for that, but I'm sure a lot of people would. So I think you probably should see that movie. I think you're fine though. Dirty Dancing. Yeah, Paige just reacted like, yeah.
It's hard for me to get
I've
into.
never seen it.
If it's not Star Wars, it's hard for me to get into the older movies, I guess.
Yeah.
But I don't know. But did some hiking out there.
Did you
Really
hike?
not much of a hiker. I mean, it was cool.
No?
Some cool views, but it's just never.
That was a good view. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Super sick.
Was that a
Oh yeah, I
Did you
sent you
summit?
guys
Was that a summit?
What's that?
Was that a peak?
Yeah. So
Peaks are cool.
Yeah.
I'm all about peaks.
no, it was very cool. It was a good time. Good to see everyone. But no, life's good, man. But anything for you,
West
B?
Line's doing good.
Yeah, they look good.
Big games.
Yeah,
I mean,
they
they're
played-
lucky to have their staff. It's ridiculous.
I
mean,
I wouldn't call it a slip up, but Western was super close the whole way. That was kind of a interesting game.
What was that, like 14-0?
first half was ugly.
Yeah, it was just a kind of a weird game. Not much offense, and
Pretty good. I think they made it. I think it was two pretty good teams. I think
Yeah.
Western.
yeah, it'll always be a pretty good game. I feel like between those two, but
Yeah.
no, it's been fun getting to more games and watch a few Raider games, and
Mhm.
yeah, it's just been good to be back in the area. So, what about you, man?
Season's about to start, so about
Yeah.
to hit the ground running. I'm coaching the 3rd and 4th graders this year, so
Oh,
it'll be a little different.
yeah,
I don't know. I really like the youth side of things. For me, I don't know. High school is kind of tainted with all of the like recruiting type stuff and trying to fight other programs for kids and social media. And I don't know. I'd rather be a program that's just develops kids great at a younger age, and then they just stay in the program. So
yeah,
I don't really. That way they know what your processes are. You know what I mean? They know you. They know your system. That's how you're going to win. That's how we're going to win on a national stage anyways, is by the way that we play. We're not going to be a high ball screen and go get a bucket type of a team. We may have certain players that can do that occasionally, but we need to shoot the ball extremely well. We need to, I don't know, be great in the half court offensively in the way that we do things, have a system defensively that carries through. And so I'm more passionate about developing those things and setting those things up. So looking forward to getting that started. I think it'll be a lot easier when we move to our new facilities in April or June or whatever that is, and we're kind of all under one roof. So I think just getting everybody on the same page is just a hard process. It's a long process, so I want to give our coaches freedom, because I know none of us see the game the exact same way, but as we go, hopefully, like the way that they do things and me watching them and kind of my views on it and Levy's views on it kind of meet in the middle, and we kind of become similar across the board, for the most part, where, a 4th grader could step into a 6th grader practice and know exactly what's going on type of a thing, or play up in a game. And you know what I mean? We only have one out of bounds play, and one's those are I just want them to know how to actually play. Like, your teams are going to change on the AU level all the time. It's never going to be consistent. People are going to come and go, there's going to be a core group of people that stay, but you're always going to add a kid here and drop a kid there. Like, I don't know. So that's fun to be a part of, you know. We kind of have like this nice little window before the facilities open to figure out what that is. I feel like we'll really be able to do that well when those open up. And like I said, we have an actual home in Des Moines. So right now we just like use a Recplex, which is a great facility, you know, but it's rented. And so it doesn't quite have like that feeling of like, this is our gym, you know, and like, I don't know. So I look forward to that, but we'll have like 21 teams and not too overwhelming. So compared to the summer where we have 46 and can be in 6 different cities and all that type of a thing. So I'm excited to work with the young bucks and life's good.
Yeah. Recording this right as Ohio State's kicking off. Any bold predictions for the Hawks?
What's the line? 24?
Yeah.
I don't know. I just don't
Same
know
as
if we're going to be.
Probably 2017 when y'all pulled it off. So
yeah, I just don't know that. I don't know. It's going to take wide receivers winning one-on-ones for us to have success. So, I mean, I would imagine they just play cover 0 or cover 1 and just put 8 in the box on Caleb and let him get going. So it's just, I don't know that he's going to have much space to get going. So, like I said, it's going to take, they're going to need to get him into a too high situation or it's going to be a long day for Caleb. So, because then he'll have success, you know, then he'll be able to break the first level and find some space and make a man miss. But if he can't get more than 2-3 yards down the line and don't have a massive body, a massive 300-pound bodies, it's going to be tough. So I think the defense will be fine as long as the offense is having success. I think it's just one of those things where eventually, like, what was it? The Big Ten, like the Big Ten championship with Michigan, like they're putting up a fight, and then it just unravels a little bit because field position and momentum and
out there the whole game.
They're out there the whole game. Front gets worn down. We're not overly deep up front, and then like, you know, offense coordinators can take shots. You know, you're always plus territory, so you always have 4 downs, and so then you can kind of dial up some of the quarters, beaters, or whatever. You know, maybe you know what it's like. Everybody has a 3rd down package, but if you're in 12 third downs and a half, like eventually you kind of know what they're trying to do on 3rd down, and so, you know, it's one of 3 or 4 things, and eventually you dial something up that is perfect for that coverage. And I mean, every defense has a weakness, so I don't know. We just need the offense to find some success on the perimeters, is my take. But if you were a betting man, 24 points line over or under?
I'm a believer.
I think we covered today. We'll see if we can actually run the ball today, because I don't think we've played that great of a defense yet. So if Caleb gets over 100 today, I think we have a true weapon at.
I agree with that. So I think that's for sure true.
But I think it'll be pretty low scoring, at least in the first half. Maybe we'll get worn out, like you said, in the second half. Bad field position, turnovers. We'll see. But I think we cover. I got faith in the Hawks.
I got 27-13 Ohio State.
We're going to lose by...
I'll go 24-9.
24-9.
21-18.
Wow. Oh, dogfight. Love
Go
it.
Hawks.
I might be eating my words.
But Keith Duncan.
I believe.
Keith Duncan misses a 67-yarder to win it. Or to tie it.
We believe. All right. Let's go watch the game, huh?
Yep.
Go Hawks.
Go Hawks. Till next time. Thanks for listening to the show. If you enjoyed today's episode, leave a rating, review, or tell a friend to check us out. Be sure to follow us at SHRP_training for more content to help you be your best self. Go be great today.